Is the war in Ukraine exposing the vulnerability of Western weapons? Russia has pictures to prove that it has destroyed the billion-dollar weapon in Ukraine. America has accepted the veracity of the claim. I'm talking about the Patriot missile system, one that was considered invulnerable. Americans use words like proven reliable when talking about the Patriot, and Russia claims to have hit one of these systems.
A high-precision strike by a hypersonic missile system, Dagger, in the city of Kyiv, a US-made Patriot anti-aircraft missile system, was hit.
And not just that, Russia also says that it has downed the British Storm Shadow missile, another weapon that was considered top class.
Air defense systems intercepted 7 HARM anti-radar missiles, 1 Storm Shadow long-range cruise missile, and 10 HIMARS-launched missiles during the day.
Which brings me back to my question. Is the Ukraine war exposing the vulnerability of Western weapons? Let me just tell you a little bit about the Patriot itself. It stands for Phased Array Tracking Radar for Intercept on Target. It is one of the most advanced US air defense systems. It can intercept and destroy cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, also an aircraft. In fact, the Patriot was first deployed in the 1980s. In 2003, in Iraq, the Patriot is said to have defeated every ballistic missile it engaged. The Patriot is very expensive. It is estimated to cost around $1.1 billion. The system alone costs $400 million. This includes the command unit, the control unit, a generator, radars, launchers. There are 8 of them, and they can hold up to 4 missile interceptors each, and all the other support systems. The missiles approximately costing an additional $690 million. This is according to CSIS, or the Center for Strategic and International Studies estimate. 18 countries operate or plan to operate this American missile system. The list includes the Netherlands, Germany, Japan, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Taiwan, Greece, Spain, South Korea, the UAE, Qatar, Romania, Sweden, Poland, and Bahrain. Ukraine was the 19th country to operate the Patriot. It is the most expensive single weapon system that the US sent to Ukraine, and its deployment was supposed to be symbolic. This was the White House's way of showing its commitment to defend Ukraine, showing political support for Ukraine. Same with the Shadow Storm. When the British Defence Minister, Ben Wallace, told the Parliament that the long-range missile was on its way to Ukraine, he said this was Britain's way of enabling Ukraine to defend itself.
Storm Shadow is a long-range, conventional-only precision strike capability. It complements the long-range systems already gifted, including HIMARS and Harpoon missiles, as well as Ukraine's own Neptune cruise missile and longer-range missions elsewhere gifted. The donation of these weapon systems gives Ukraine the best chance to defend themselves against Russia's continued brutality.
Both the Patriot and the Shadow Storm have been hit by Russia. And this too is symbolic, and this raises serious questions. Are these weapons invulnerable, or did Ukraine not do enough to protect them? One thing we've been talking about for a while now is the burn rate of the Russia-Ukraine war. You know how Western weapons, expensive Western weapons, are receiving free firework treatment in Ukraine? The US alone, in fact, has sent weapons worth $23.5 billion to Ukraine. $23.5 billion. And these are weapons from the Defense Department stock. They include tanks, air defenses, rockets, howitzers, manned aircraft. And Ukraine has burnt all of it in 15 months. It has also burnt weapons sent by other countries like the UK, Poland, Germany, France, the Netherlands. It's a long list, but not enough to satisfy Ukraine's weapon appetite, you see. How else will you explain the fact that Ukraine claims it does not have enough weapons left for a counter-offensive? Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky recently visited European cities, meeting leaders, asking for weapons, and upon returning, he is back at it. He is now asking for more weapons on Twitter. More $1 billion Patriot.
З 18 ракет збито. Тому і працюємо постійно над візитами, які принесуть ще можливості, ще систем Patriot, Iris-T, Кроталь, Hawk, NASAMS.
There is burn rate, also pilferage. You see, weapons are falling into the crack called corruption. We have been telling you about reports of Ukrainian leaders selling Western weapons to smugglers in Europe. Arms shipments are going missing. They are ending up in black markets. And one person at the top end of the supply chain of corruption has been picked up. The Chief Justice. As you may have figured out, he is Ukraine's Chief Justice and he has been detained for taking bribes. You heard that right, the Chief Justice of the country. For how long can a country riddled with corruption continue fighting? And for how long can the West continue to supply it with weapons? The latter clearly has become a victim of its own propaganda and public opinion. And it needs to close a chapter that it opened, but how? With a 5-letter word, and that's peace. The West, or at least a portion of it, appears to be actively working towards it. This headline is a month old. But what it points towards is pretty interesting. France is now trying to get claim share of pie in the peace plan, and one that China is designing, the same one that Belarus is promoting. The French President Emmanuel Macron seems to be desperately trying to be Europe's Napoleon for peace. Whether or not the plan will work is currently under question, much like Western weapons post Russia's recent strike in Ukraine. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.